Welcome back, my plant cultists. Today we are going to be talking about how the plants I got in the BensJungle order are doing. So stay tuned. So we'll start kind of on the... They're all doing okay, I should say. They're all doing great. We'll start with the best acclimated so far. So, the Vinia Julia and Tillandsia is doing fantastic. I was worried when it first came because its leaves got a bit papery, which essentially meant that it was quite dehydrated. But a few days in my orchid bark soil moss mix in this pot and keeping that cup nice and full, it bounced back and became really turgid straight away. So it is doing fantastic and looks so good. Like, I know I've already made a video on this, but can we just... Little pots, beautiful plants. It looks like it should be fake and it's not. That's like perfection. The other bromeliad from the order was this Tillandsia Anantha, which has stopped flowering. The flower did in fact perish, but it's doing well. I mean, let's see if it's still alive. Yep, changing colour. That's the best way to tell if your air plant is still alive. If you give it a spray and the trichomes change colour, then it's still taking in water, which means it's still alive, which is great. Mainly because sometimes they get a bit flimsy and weird, particularly if they're dehydrated. So it's probably best to just give them a little spray and see if they're still going. We'll do you. This is one of the unnamed philodendrons that came in the order. This is the philodendron species Guyana. Now, I went on a mission to try and find IDs for both these plants that I got in that order, to some theoretical success. This could potentially be a Philodendron Haii. I'll put the name just here. Potentially, not certain, as it's still immature. This one I found is way more sensitive to humidity. It had some moments, a leaf sort of semi-broke and I had to like splint it whilst it's healing because it's one of its biggest leaves and I didn't want to lose it. And I also took a sort of security tip cutting and I'm keeping it in this closed jar system and it's now putting out new leaves, or a new leaf, and is rooting like mad. So this species really seems to thrive in higher humidity, probably because it's quite a thinner philodendron. It's not very meaty, so it probably has a harder time holding on to that water that it needs. But it's doing okay. No pest issues on this one, at least. But I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Still not certain on the name though, so for now we'll still refer to it as Philodendron species Guyana, but potentially Haii. Now let's talk about the problem child from the order, shall we? This Philodendron species Peru. Now, don't get me wrong, this plant is beautiful. I love this plant, I really do. But she potentially still has scale. This was my very first time ever dealing with scale. I've never had a plant that had it before, so I didn't even notice it for the first week. It wasn't until I noticed that the biggest leaf that she had, which is now gone, was declining like really fast, like faster than shock would necessarily induce on it. And when it came off, I looked at it closely and there were these little brown bumps. And I was like, well, they didn't look part of the leaf, so I sort of moved them, and they were in fact scale, and then I sort of went, oh my god. Went back to the plant, and with just like the cursory look, they were on all the petioles, they were on the abaxial side of the leaves. it was a bit of a disaster, and I find myself every single day still flipping these leaves over and checking for babies. I think I got all the adults off like straight away, but obviously some of the babies are really small and they're crawlers, so you won't see them until they're a little bit bigger. And I've been spraying it down with just water. I haven't actually put any chemicals on this plant yet, mainly because the scale wasn't necessarily hard to remove. It was, and it doesn't like it didn't seem to proliferate very fast, but it was sucking energy from this plant after transit, which is a really bad recipe for, it's not a good time. But in terms of identification on this plant, spoke to Enid at Ennis Tropicals, and she told me to also post it. She contacted a few of her friends about it, and then she asked me to post it in the International Aeroid Association on Facebook for some help on both of them. That's where I got the potential ID for this one, as a potential Philodendron hyea, but again, not confirmed, because there are a lot of lobed philodendrons and there are a lot of unnamed lobed philodendrons. This one proved to be quite the controversial matter. So at first, people were like, oh, it's Holtianum, like, no issue. And then I was like, hold on guys, because look, this plant has a really intense red blushing below every single leaf, and that changed the game. So we've got a few working theories that came out of it. Potentially a new naturally occurring hybrid or variant of Holtianum and something else. I don't know for sure if it was picked up inside or outside the Guyanese sort of quarter. There's like a huge area that's cut off by mountains, and it makes a big difference for how to identify the philodendrons. And BensJungle doesn't import, so they aren't even necessarily sure where specifically it was geolocated from. But it is all quite exciting because it's potentially a brand new species to science. I'm going to keep growing it until it matures. I've not taken any tip cuttings yet, not until I'm sure that the scale is gone. But when I am, I will probably take a few cuttings this summer, just so I have backups, because this plant has become a favourite of mine in my collection. I want to make sure that I've always got it, So that's the potential new species, but for now we'll just call her the Philodendron species Peru, because, new leaf, doing really well, put out like 2 new leaves since being with me, and is, really, really cool, very delicate. So, the only Monstera I got in the order, which is living in this bell jar, is my little Monstera Assorted Picanha. Now it is putting out a lovely new leaf, a big new leaf, and a few aerial roots. If it will, nope. Okay. So this plant is doing really well. It took a bit of a hit from lack of humidity and started getting a browning tip, and because I've only got one little cutting, I'm not taking any chances, so straight into a bell jar with it, and doing that immediately caused it to push out a new leaf. So I'm happy, it's happy, I'm happy, Now for the sort of the rarer items in the order, which live in this terrarium along with this little pink princess cutting that I've got for my big one. We'll do you first. So, first up is this lovely Philodendron Brontea baby that again kept the leaf that it came with a fresh cutting, and is now putting out another new leaf, which is fabulous. I will say this one isn't rooting super, like, it's rooting and growing, but it's not doing it in the best way. Like, I've given them a really chunky mix of orchid bark and soil and sphagnum and charcoal, and they seem to, like, the other one's fine, and so is the Pink Princess, but this one, it just, no matter what I do, it's always wobbly. And I've like built up sphagnum around the base, trying to keep it in one place whilst it really roots in. But it's still so wobbly, so I think it's only really surface rooting at the moment. But either way, it's doing well. And it is under glass, so it's, you know, it's in like ideal conditions. And then... well, this is finicky. This is very finicky. Oh my god. You gotta be kidding me. No way. Sorry, I've just realised. The Melanochrysum, I got the leaf stayed and unfurled and is now a lovely big leaf, and it's also putting out another leaf. But more importantly, it's got a root shooting out of the bottom of this pot and into the sphagnum below the base of the terrarium. So it's rooted incredibly fast. It's got a root curling around some charcoal. This is great. Considering my last experience with Melanochrysum, I was worried about getting another one and it not turning out well, and I couldn't be happier. This is going fantastic. So yeah, there's that beautiful deep velvet leaf. The newer one seems to be the same length, but because it was a fresh chop tip cutting, it didn't seem to kind of go the whole 9 yards and unfurl. But it basically completely did it, so, you know, kudos. And it is putting out another new leaf, which hopefully will be the same size, if not bigger, than this one. But, you know, that was actually a really pleasant surprise. Because that was a big, meaty, white root. If you can see it on my t-shirt. It is a big, meaty, white root coming straight out of that pot. So I might need to, like, put it up a little bit. If I... oh, wow, it is rooted in there. God, that is awesome. Sorry, I know I'm getting distracted already. But yeah, it's going well. So, overall, the order is doing fabulous. Apart from the scale. But even so, I've battled it off and we're good now. But yeah, this video, I must say as well, I did it with the blessing of my queen bee, Pamela, from Pam's Pretty Plants, because she does phenomenal sort of where are they now videos with her unboxings, and I wanted to make sure I gave credit where credit was definitely due. But yeah, so I'm going to pop her back in the terrarium, because I do not like her being out in the open air for too long. I treat her very much as my baby, because she is, and I love her very, very much. I'm even pointlessly gendering a genderless plant. Well, probably not genderless, just... and cameo appearance from this beautiful pink princess cutting I took. That needs a bit of water. Just a little bit. I'll put a little bit in there onto the sphagnum too. This is where they all live. This lovely geometric terrarium, having a grand old time. So, I would like to thank you all for watching. I hope you have a lovely, lovely, lovely week. And I am wearing the same outfit as my video because I filmed it all on the same day. So, goodbye my beautiful plant cultists.